All right, welcome back. I left off finishing up the lid on my case, or finishing the major parts of it up. I trimmed down the edges of the inside fabric, and after that glue had dried. So now I am just going to set my lid aside and work on the case. The major pieces of this are done, so I think that was good progress for where I left off. As for the next part of this adventure, I am going to work on my shelves. That's my hopes anyhow, is to add my shelves in. Now, I do need to make sure that I get them at least as level as possible. So, at least I'm going to try. I do have a little conundrum with my shelves, and that is how to keep things from falling off. Besides how to make sure they stay in, also how to keep things from falling off. Now, I had thought about doing something decorative. I have these overgrown popsicle sticks here, and I have some mold pieces I made up. I made these up like right when the mold came out. I guess is basically when these were made, and I was experimenting with alcohol inks. So what I did is I put in metallic alcohol inks. Like, I think that's gunmetal, and there's probably some other ones in there that I don't remember. I put those in the mold first, and then in the resin I was using, I think it was ginger, the ginger alcohol ink, Tim Holtz ginger, distressed ginger, ranger ginger, whichever one. And I did that to get the amber color of the bottles. I had already pulled these out with intention of using them as some decoration behind actual bottles that I would also use on the shelves, for a little bit of depth. So they will be going in at some point in time. I just don't know when yet. And when I was trying to figure out how I wanted exactly to create a front, some kind of front on my shelves so things wouldn't fall off, I also thought maybe I could decorate, and maybe not the taller ones, stick to the medium and shorter ones, I think, if I'm going to, so they don't stick up too far. But then, just now, because I was thinking of this yesterday, and then took a break that lasted the rest of the day. Anyhow, it was a long break. I forget what I was doing. Oh yeah, I had to go to the store and buy milk. That was it. So, in my thinking today, though, I remembered, oh wait, I also have to take into consideration the door shelf. I need to make sure need to verify I would even have enough space. Totally don't think I would. Totally do not think I would in any means at all. But that might, if I use popsicle sticks as fronts, well, partials. That's why I doubled it up to see if that would be too much space, and it definitely won't. Even from overview, you can see that I still have room. If you were doing this and you had shelves that weren't as wide, well, there's an idea. Resin bottle pieces or resin pieces of whatever's going into your style. Also, I have these 1/4-inch dowel rods. I literally, they were on sale in the clearance aisle one time. So I picked them up because, well, you just never know when you need 1/4-inch bamboo dowel rods, right? They've been hanging around for a year or two, but I finally found a use for them, I think. See, if you hold on to things long enough, there'll be a use for it. So I'm sure that 20-year-old paper I have will eventually find a project. But that leads me to a little bit more construction for my shelves. For this, I am going to work out my box shelves. My other thing that I didn't think about when I was originally making these shelves was that they stick out past the edge of the case. So I would have this little edge right there. Now, I mean, if I put this on, there's still a little edge, and I don't want it falling off. What if a small bottle gets put there? You know, like a little itty bitty baby bottle would fall off. It'd go bloop. Just like that. Bloop. So now I get to build a different idea. All right, new idea that I'm going to see if it will work. I have a whole pack of these overgrown popsicle sticks, so if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll just get another stick out. As I was preparing to just trim off the edges or the rounded ends so that, well, they would not stick out. So I would have square ends. I looked at it and I went, wait just a minute there. That gives me an idea, because I have these dowel rods and they would, I think, look just great. I'm going to put holes through here so my dowel rods will be centered in them, and it will be, well, at the edge-ish, edge-ish. All right, that solves that. And I think that these are going to serve a dual purpose in the back corners. They will be corner supports in the back there. I don't think I need to necessarily worry about things sliding out, but I may add a thin strip. It would be under the back edge of the shelf, just to hold it up, give it a little bit of support there. Now, I want to figure out which ones can be done now, or which things can be put in now and which things I will have to put in after the liner is put in. Plus, my shelves are going to need a bit of tweaking, just a touch of tweaking. It'll just be in there like that. Well, like that. And once again, these really don't have to be perfect. I plan on forming the velvet liner over these. So I am going to get these in where they need to go before I add the velvet liner, which means that one that just fell apart, I'm just going to glue back together. It will go in here like this. I will just line it up, and then I will do the second one the same way. Get these put in. I'll center it. Also, center it, actually, if I do that. That should work right. If I just find the center down here, I can... And then I'll just use those center lines along here. Now, for their attachment, at least their semi-temporary attachment. That's what we're going to call it, semi-temporary attachment. I think I will use a hot glue gun to tack them in place. Hold them until I can get the velvet wrapped around them. It's a high heat gun, so that will give me a little bit of extra work time. So I'm going to go over how I've been thinking this through, or what I've been thinking is going to work. For my large shelves, the 2 large shelves inside the case, I figure between that shelf and the shelves in the doors, there is at least this much space. About 2 of these large craft sticks of width. Maybe a little bit more, but at least this much. So that's important because that's what I'm using as a spacer. Now, as for my spacer piece, that's what this is. At least I know this glass surface is flat. There it is. That had a purpose, it did. So I have one stick as a spacer. My front edge of my shelf, I just going to put on there. And this was here just to help things stand up so that I could work with it standing up. And it is going to be the same general process for the shorter shelves in the door. I will use, not this one, it's got a weird bend in it. Anyhow, I will try to set it up just for this showing and explanation process I have. There we go. Front edge down. I can't. That'll drive me nuts. Let me at least cut it. There. A little bit better, I guess. Yep. A little bit better. Anyhow. So, same process. I will use a single spacer at the front edge of the short shelves. Now, the only reason I bring this up is, because I'm not building the same, they don't need to be the same. My inside long shelves need 2 ends on them. And that's what this stack is that I don't really want to undo. But I will show you. I will still show you. I have my popsicle stick here. I will, you know what? I will try to give you a better view. Just for size purposes right now, what I did was just took one of my full-length ones like so and held it up like that. And I did purposely cut it a little long. It's easier to take a little extra off than to, you know, try to fill in too many gaps. Yes, I need a total of 8 ends. 2 for each of the sides on the long ones. And the ones in the doors, they only need 1. Because one end will be against the door panel all the way. The front panel, which is the wider one. And so I only need a shelf edge on the end that will be, you know, hanging out at the where the doors open. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at there. So 2 shelves in each door, and then 2 for each of these. As for my ends, I did not plan on centering. I didn't want them centered this way. I didn't want them all the way at the bottom though either. So I kind of split the difference. Now, granted, these are very weak sticks. I'm hoping this will work out. And apparently I do have to take that apart. But what I did was on my prototype, my original measuring stick, I figured out exactly where I wanted to put. Let me rephrase that. I figured out how much I wanted above the edge and how much I wanted it below the edge of the shelf. So it will look, well, a little something like that. In the box, it would be, you know, the higher edge on top and just a little bit at the bottom. That's the theory. Anyhow, that's what I'm going for at this particular moment. Hopefully it works. So for my purposes, because my sticks are 1 1/4 inches, and I put that split at 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch below the shelf, and then 3/4 inch above the shelf. And that's what this line is. That is this is going to be painted over, so I can just do that for you. Shelf. That's the shelf line right here. Okay, so I lost anybody yet? This is a 1/2 inch. And then this is 3/4 inch. Hopefully things are kind of making sense here. Kind of. Now, up in that 3/4 inch section, I did have to find the center, which is 3/8. And that's what this is here. This is just the center of the 3/4. So there's that one right there. And that being marked out where I'm hoping I can get things to go. My little dowel rods, which aren't quite a 1/4 inch. They are, I have my little circle template here, so I don't know how well, maybe if I do that. That is the 1/4 inch circle there that's in, so it's a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch. So what I did is I just went through until I found the first one it would fit through, which is 7/32. What an odd dowel size. Anyways, so They're about 7 30 seconds. And then what I did was I'm going to kind of clip this in place so I can hold it up for you without my hands getting in the way. Okay. So what I did is I lined up my center line on my template with my 3/8 inch mark, eyeballed the front of it just back a hair, like a scary hair. I don't know. This is the biggest reason why this is a very scary experiment. It's also the same reason why I have them all stacked together. So that is my shelf ends. And then I can just, you know, stack everything up. Which is what all that was about, is making a stack of all of my pieces and clipping them together. Clipping them together as straight together, as even as I can possibly make it. Purely for the purpose of making a giant craft stick sandwich. Because, now this is my brave part, I'm going to try to drill my hole through the entire thing all at once. Everything's getting a hole put through it for the dowels to slip into. That's why I put them all together. Strength in numbers and all, folks. Strength in numbers. Now, I'm not going to try to do it by hand because a hand drill wiggly. I do have a drill press, which should theoretically, hopefully, make it so that I can apply an even slower pressure and not completely tear out the edge. But it is very close to it, and even if it does cut through, the dowels should, more or less fill up that gap, and then I can just texture paste or wood filler or something and hold everything in place. I have a contingency plan if the original one doesn't work, but hopefully my original one does. Just not because it's any less aesthetically pleasing or anything like that, just less work. So we will see how that drill press does. And then I will tell you how I'm planning on putting these shelves into the box. Now, I had also thought of painting these first, but I really need those lines and I don't want to redraw them, so I will paint them after, which will also give me a chance to make sure my shelf edges are flatter, more even, and everything will slide in. That drilling went well, more or less well. It didn't shred the ends that barely anything end all too badly. So I am just going to kind of explain here what my thought process is. Anyways, all right, gotta put my rings back on. I just got through washing my dog, and well, it's a process. Okay, she's a Great Dane, and let's just say it involves her thick collar, a strong leash, and an attachment to a 1-ton truck. So or a 2-ton truck or whatever it is. A large vehicle. It's not a fun process. Oh, anyhow. So let me get back to that. My process here, I was kind of starting on. I have my spacers, I have my shelves, all right, and my spacers. So all I'm doing is setting it up on the table. That's what the spacer is for. And then, my ends, and that's, so this only sticks out past the edge of the shelf that much. That's the entire purpose of my little spacer. So I get it set down and add some wood glue and line it up and just am letting that dry. That's all there is to it for this assembly. My shelves here will get a little bit of an extra step at some point in time. I will need to make sure that they're going to fit inside the case with both of the ends on. In my little playing around, they slide in like just the perfect snugness, but that was without the velvet in. So I want to test that, test the fit before I put my other end on. Just to make sure. As for my doors, well, I'll also have to make sure that they don't hang out past the end of the door now with that velvet and what have you. But that's all there is to it. Just some wood glue for right now to get those pieces in place. So I had already had this set up some, and it had been sitting there a bit. So I don't want to hit it too hard. I'm pretty sure it's not, completely sturdy. Like I wouldn't trust it right now. But I do want it to be held in place, just like so. My biggest thing with my doors is I'm going to have to mark on the door where that dowel is going to go across. Okay? Okay. So maybe I can just make a safe stack of my parts while I get everything worked out. And after I get my shelves ready-ish, I will paint my ends, get everything refinished, and then let you know what I'm thinking for the total support and assembly process inside, besides the little strips that I have already put in. Alright guys, so since this shelf process ended up taking a little bit longer than I had planned, I am going to just sign off this week's video right here. In the next video, I will work on adding the velvet, I think, and trying to get the shelves into place and just see how far along I can get with that without making an excessively long video. Hopefully that process will go a little quicker, and then I can just move on to the overall assembly of it, getting the doors attached, what have you. We'll see. We will see. So, thank you for hanging out with me here and continuing with me with my apothecary making journey. I am just going to finish building my shelves up, probably put the paint on, and I will see you guys soon in the next video.